Hi, this is Julie Hennrikus from YourLadders.com. Your Ladders is an online business school for performing artists. And today's topic is, I think, going to be a larger topic that needs to be talked about and wrestled in a number of different ways. And I should probably have conversations with people on video so that we can track them. But let me tell you a story. I was in a classroom last year talking to a student who was about to graduate with a BFA in performing arts. She's a musician. And she had been advised that she should be willing to work and expect to work for free for the first few years out of school while she was building up a reputation. My advice to her, and my advice that I'm going to talk about in today's 5 Arts Thought series, is that in fact she should put a price on her work and be willing to negotiate. I hear a lot from artists who are expected to work for free or expected to work without a guarantee of any kind of money and get a cut of the door, which sometimes they get ripped off on. And how that makes not only making a living impossible, but how that is devaluing to the work that the artists do. Our society does not value artists' work adequately. And I'm wondering if within the field, if we can do some things to start making sure that the value of the work is more known. So I have 5 arts thoughts about that. And as I said, this is a bigger conversation, but something I've been wrestling with or thinking a lot about, so I wanted to bring it up in this video series. Number 1, as I said, you should be willing to set a price for your work. Now, if you're an actor or if you're a musician or if you're a dancer, what does that look like? Again, we all know that people work with different budgets and different ranges and have different opportunities, but you should set a price for your work or say that, fee is negotiable if you need to, but do set a price for your work. Even if it's internally, say, I will do this gig for $25 and that's what I'm going to be okay with that. As I'm building my reputation up, is enough or could be enough. But start making sure you put a number on your work. I think that's important. The difference that I'm talking about are for folks who are looking to be professionals and get paid for their work. There are many, many amateur artists who don't expect to get paid for their work, but this is still a good conversation because there might be people associated with, or you might decide to take another path, or you might be working with one group that you volunteer with, but somebody else asks you to work with them, and maybe there's a stipend involved. So I think the conversation of value and of paying people is an important, difficult one, but let's have it, and that's what we're doing here. Number 2, if you can, align with other folks who are on the same level and working in the same field as you are. It doesn't help if people undercut each other or overcut each other. And people can charge different prices and have different expectations or needs as far as income go. But if you can have a cohort of folks who say you're all working in the same club, where this is how much we're all going to start charging. That can be a helpful way to leverage and to help all boats rise, at the same time. So see if you can align or talk to other people about money. Money's a hard conversation in the arts. I've said that before. I'll say that again. But make sure that maybe you can start to have that conversation. Number 3, our society, and right now I'm talking to folks who live in the United States. Our society does not value the work of artists the way it should be done. They don't always consider artists' work as real work, right? They think because there's joy in the work you do that you shouldn't get paid. And yet, our society benefits so much from the works of artists, right? Even if it's just walking by a building that has public art outside of it, or walking through a mall these days and hearing holiday carolers, or picking up a book and reading it to escape, or going to see a holiday show, right? All of these things are artist driven. And so I part of knowing your value or understanding your value or putting numbers on your value is also to recognize that how important the work you do is. And I want you to know I recognize that. So stand tall, own it. And I know how important you are and your work is to our society. And it's frustrating that other people don't, but we're working on that, right? And what we've talked about advocacy, and we'll keep talking about advocacy. But you do play an important role in our society. So your work is important. Number 4, when you're setting rates for yourself, you can be flexible depending on what the work is, right? If you're working for X company, you might charge this. If you're charging for Y company, you charge this. If you're in this venue and it's got this many seats and they have a sound system and they treat you like a human being, you might charge this. If you're in a different venue, you might charge that. So as you're thinking about your rates, understand that there can be flexibility, there can be mobility, there can be something you can change. But do think about that and take all those things into consideration. Part of it's a money thing, it's a budget thing. The other part is your gut check, and making sure you feel good about the work you're doing, where you're doing it. And if there's an opportunity to make more money, go for it. And number 5, part of what Your Ladders is about, and the reason I created the online business school for performing artists, is for folks who may want to consider producing their own work at some point. So number 5 is about that. If you're producing work or thinking about producing work, make sure in the budget you budget for artist fees. I have taught for a number of years. I've talked to so many artists, and it's frustrating because sometimes in order to get a reading done or to get a dream project going, people don't budget in for artist fees, or they take them away. I'm just going to suggest that even if it's a stipend and a small stipend over the course of a run, and I know so many fringe artists and folks who are barely pulling it together, but if you can just make a gesture of paying people, it goes a long way towards building that into your budget, building that into your expectation, and making sure that as you grow, everybody else is going to grow with you and salaries will grow. So make sure you make the active decision to pay people, no matter what that looks like. It's a good habit to get into. Thanks so much for listening to this 5 Arts Thoughts about a pretty complicated conversation. If you have thoughts on this or you want me to talk about another conversation, make sure you put it in the comments. And make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel because I'm putting up videos fairly regularly. And I'm also on Instagram, and yourladders.com has a lot more information about the company and the work that we're doing. Thanks so much.